eemamwiciki, Waapanswa Greta. Hi, I'm Greta. I am the arts coordinator for Waapanswa and your main contact for all arts-related questions. In the Myaamia culture, we use a metaphor to help us understand the relations between extended family members, and we use a tree as that metaphor. So our art project for this curriculum, for the kinship curriculum, focuses around creating a tree. In past camps, we've made a tree weaving on a bent wood hoop, but for this program and its format, we'd like to leave it open to you as to how you'd like to create your tree. So I'm going to just show you a few examples. You've seen probably the weaving. This is like a bent tree branch. I harvest it green, I bend it that very same day, and I use it for a hoop to weave on. There are directions on how to make this in our art lesson if you are interested in that. We have roots on our tree, and a trunk, and branches, and leaves. There's 4 parts to a tree, and we use those 4 parts in the metaphor that you'll be learning about in some of the activities in the coming weeks. So as you create your tree, it's really important to have those 4 parts. If you check out the art lesson, there's going to be all different sorts of ideas for you on how you can create a tree. This was my painted salt dough tree. Salt dough does break. I've already managed to break mine, so I need a little bit of glue right on there. But you could create sort of a relief sculpture. It's like a flat sculpture out of salt dough. You can do that separately on a baking sheet, or there was one I also created on a Chinette plate. For crafts, I like those Chinette plates. They're really sturdy and they support your craft very well. So if you're thinking paper plates for any of your craft projects, you might want to consider the sturdiness of your paper plate and see what brands are out there. So this is salt dough also. On that first tree you saw, I had baked this one in the oven and then I painted it. But this one I sculpted right onto the plate, and now the plate is part of the art project, so I can paint this background. But because it was on a paper plate, I had to let it air dry. That does take a very long time, so if you're impatient, this maybe is not for you. I already dented mine because I'm not very patient sometimes, and I poked it trying to see if it was ready or not. So just know if you make one of these, you're going to be putting it away for a week, letting it dry somewhere. This one's another one using a paper plate. It's sort of a combination of that idea of that weaving on a hoop, but instead of a hoop I used a paper plate. You can see my strings going across the back. And that lets me draw in color on the plate as well. And then paper plate again. I love those. I created a tree sculpture using pipe cleaners and some scrap fabric. I had poked the ends of it through the paper plate. There are instructions on how I created this in the art lesson if you like that, or you can always choose your own way. I just wanted to give you some examples. Before you get started though, it might be a nice idea to spend some time with trees. Trees are really great living things, and I think a lot of times we just see them and process them, and we don't really take time to look at a tree, what it has to offer and what it looks like. So maybe get outside, get on a little nature hike, and or in your own backyard if you can't leave home for whatever reason. Hopefully you're fortunate enough to have trees in your backyard, and check out the trees. Can you see the roots, or can you tell where the roots are? What's the trunk look like? How tall is it before it starts to branch out into those branches? And then how do the leaves grow? How do they attach into the branch? And I think all of those observations will help you create a really nice tree. And then you also have the 4 parts, the roots, the trunk, the branches, and the leaves that work into the metaphor that you'll be learning about in the coming weeks. Anyway,